So I would say the last year, I have truly focused on just doing the work and just implementing and learning a little bit here and there,
Mm.
and then giving myself the time to truly implement it and understand it. I mean, you're being given information, you think you kind of understand it, but I also, some things are so deep and so complex that I need to be able to research a little bit or just sit with myself and go, okay, well, what is the real meaning of this, or what, and I'm giving myself that time right now. And I'm finding that is the best way for me, versus trying to do all the things a million miles an hour all the time.
Yeah. Do you like how because it's interesting for you. It's actually very cool because you have such a dichotomy in businesses. You can have your feminine business being your lashes, but then you have is it construction or roofing business?
It's roofing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I stay away from doing all the trades. We do what we do best, and I just stick to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it nice having both?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've just been an entrepreneur since being a child, and
Mm.
I've owned many businesses over my lifetime. My first one being when I was 18, and I studied it in school, marketing, entrepreneurship, and um, I knew in ninth grade exactly what I wanted to do.
You did?
Yeah, after taking a marketing class, that was just heavy on entrepreneurship, honestly. I knew that I was going to own businesses when I was such a nerd. I nerded out on it. I mean, I would spend my extra time that I had at 18, 19, all through my 20s, like writing business plans for ideas that I had, and just total nerd. But I
Wow.
loved
That's
it.
so cool though. I mean, for you to know exactly what you wanted to be and then put yourself on that path, that's amazing. And then to nerd out like that, I'm like the 100% opposite.
I had plenty of time to, lose myself, find myself, make mistakes. And
Yeah.
I didn't go finish my college degree for it because, I'm like, I'll figure this shit out. I'll just, do it. I don't regret it at all, but you got to put your dues in one way or the other. So
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
been a ride.
That's the cool thing about entrepreneurship, though. Like, you don't have to have that degree to be an entrepreneur. It can happen through trial and error, good and bad, schooling, like however you get there, but there's no clear cut path for sure.
No, no, but I'm definitely doing so, with like the roofing. I never thought once in my lifetime, even though I knew I would definitely be in the world of business, I never thought, oh, I'm going to own a construction company. It just kind of happened. But I've owned many different things that are like almost polar opposite or in way different industries. And for me, it's just, I mean, business comes down to numbers. I like the challenge of it. I like getting into the numbers, figuring out and strategizing. So I'm not saying I would do any type of business, but I
Mm.
kind of just fell into construction through real estate and then doing turns and flips and that kind of thing. Um, and then I was running a marketing company that serviced this one roofing company, and I ended up buying the assets and taking
Mm.
it because they had done just a tremendous job at branding and building this wonderful reputation. And then I just kind of took it to the next level. And that's how I got into it. But yeah, I wanted to be a princess before ninth grade, I wanted to be a princess. That was kind of my game plan. As I got
Nothing wrong with that.
older, as I got older, I was kind of like, that might not happen. So I better have a plan B.
Yeah, princess has got to support herself. So what are we gonna do here?
Yeah. Um, Yeah, or Rainbow Bright. I wanted to be Rainbow Bright when I was like little. I mean, when I was 5 years old, I was just talking about this the other day. We were talking about like childhood cartoons and things like that, and I was like, Rainbow Bright. remember being 5, she was like my idol because she was such a badass and she wasn't scared
Yeah,
of anything. And she was always helping other people and, facing the enemy. And I was like, oh, I want to be her.
for
She's amazing.
sure. And she was like rebellious, right? Like she wasn't the good little girl that got in line. She didn't care what people thought. She wore her colors. She was like, what?
Yes. I love her. I still love her. Yeah.
Absolutely. I can definitely see a lot of her in you. So I think you've done well.
You are
Yeah.
so
So talk to me about, so you and I had the pleasure of hanging out at our at a women's retreat, and for me it was my first. I've never done that, and different. I've gone through different eras in my life, like where I don't get along so great with women, or I don't know. I never thought like it was me, but there's just never been like a great group of women that I got along with and on such a deep level. And for us, I think the fact that we're all similar in age, entrepreneurs, we just all got along famously. And one of the things that we were laughing about and that I enjoyed so much was your catchphrase, because it just is so encompassing. Now that didn't spawn out of that retreat, right?
it
It
did.
did?
Yes.
Love it. I love it. So tell me, where did it come from?
So I have been on this like self-improvement, self-love, self-acceptance mission
Yeah.
for probably 5 years now. And, starting very slowly, just not growing up in a very nurturing environment and even knowing what that looks like. So, baby steps. It's been a very long process. And I feel like it started so slow. And now that I'm like getting things, it's like going super fast. Um,
Mm,
but I just had a realization while we were at that retreat. There were just a lot of things that were coming to me that either it was an old thought process or maybe a challenge that I was facing or a relationship in my life, like for instance, with my daughter, where once my ego was put aside, I could see that I was either making things way more challenging than they needed to be,
yeah.
or was just absolutely the cause of the challenge or the thought process or whatever. I mean, just kind of almost like one after another, these things were being presented to me. And I was laying down at the time, just really deep in meditation. I sat up, and one of the things that I had kind of come to realize that I was about to make this very expensive business decision in an effort to improve my company culture. And, I'm always working on all the things and how can I be better? How can I be better? Um, and what I really wanted was better communication in the company. We do have a good culture, but we've had some breakdown in the company, and it's really, communication. And I'm like, I've been drilling everyone, like, we've got to communicate, we've got to communicate, we've got to communicate. And so one of the things that was presented to me while I was in meditation is that all the times in the company, and this was like, I know it might sound crazy, but it was kind of going lightning fast, but there was just
Mhm.
like all these different scenarios in my company where maybe I wasn't communicating enough or effectively or whatever. And so I just sat up in that moment after all these different realizations from relationships, company, whatever. And I just started laughing. And I'm like, bitch, it's you. Like, you're the problem.
You're the problem and you're the solution.
Yes. And that's what, so I'm just laughing. And
Yeah.
my whole life, I've just gone to the external for help, like fix me or help me fix me or whatever. But in that moment, I'm like, you are the one causing it. You are the one making it complicated. You also know exactly what to do to make everything better or correct or whatever. And I don't need to pay $20,000 for this company to come outside and teach my team how to communicate, because I just need to communicate better. It's me, bitch, it's you. You need to communicate better, and then everyone else will follow. So yeah, that absolutely came to me in that moment at the retreat.
I love that. And it's just so applicable to, like you said, anything, the good, the bad, or the ugly. It's like, we are 100% solely responsible for our human experience, good, bad, or otherwise. And that can be good or it could be bad. A lot of times it's just reframing what is. And a lot of time it's just taking action, like you said, which is a similar journey that I was on. The big realization that I had at the end of last year or the beginning of this year is I was searching for these people to sort of fix my business or take it to the next level. And the realization is it's here. It's always been here. Quit searching everywhere else and go all in on yourself. And that's the way out, or that's the way to do, like you said, what we already know how to do.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it just comes from that self-love, self-acceptance space. Not that you don't totally not love yourself or anything like that, but when you are not truly whole, you do go search
Yeah.
for the external because you don't believe that you have it, that and getting still. Like, so these meditation retreats that I've gone to, I look at how do I continue to evolve and grow without being at a meditation retreat.
Mm.
And it's something that has been told to me for a very long time, several years now, that just was not clicking. And it was, Nicole, just be still. So I'm like, oh, okay. Cause Nikki wants to run around like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's hard for us because we're such doers. We're so much in action, 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 that to be in inaction is very unnatural.
Yeah, it does not feel comfortable.
No.
And I could not silence my mind. It was always racing. I mean, I tried years ago to get into meditation and stuff like that. And one, I didn't really understand what meditation truly is. I mean, everybody has the picture, you sit crisscross applesauce and, put your fingers together and that's
Yeah.
that's the way you can meditate. And
Yeah.
the more that I searched and researched and all that, I come to find, meditation looks like whatever we need it to, however we can get still and however we can channel our mind and slow that down and stop the ego, put the ego aside and just be.
Yeah.
Took me a very long time to get to that point, but once I did, then I fully understood what it meant to be still and why it's so important, because we're never going to see that next step that we need to take, or an area that we can improve, or if we just let our minds run a million miles an hour, especially with the ego running the show, it's never going to come to you. You're just going to be in this vicious cycle, which I very much was before
Yeah.
I learned that.
Well, and it's a practice. It's not like, oh, I got this, I'm good. It's like, for me, it's a continual practice. Some days it's easier than others. Some days I just can't shut the mind off, no matter how still I'm getting. So it's definitely, I equate it to like CrossFit. Like, you're never going to master it. There's always more you can do. There's always improvements you can make. You're never going to be the best. You just got to constantly be working at it, or you will get worse again.
Yes. Yeah. And the last thing I want to do is completely fall back into those old habits that no longer serve me.
Yeah.
Because some of them are just kind of on replay. It's just repetition. And in the beginning, when you're learning new things, you have to be very intentional, very like, no, I'm doing this, I'm not doing that. And, I am kind of rebellious too. So
Mhm.
it all comes together, but it's very much a work in progress every single day.
It is. Yeah, same. And for me, I get bored. So I constantly got to kind of shift it and mix it up so it's not repetitive, because then I'm not in the moment, because oh, now we're going to do this. Oh, now she's going to say that, or now this is going to happen. And so I have to constantly be changing it up. One of the new things I started doing is now I'm meditating in the hot tub, because apparently if you do it in warm water, it exponentials things or gets you deeper. I don't know what it is, but that's my new thing that I've been trying out the last couple weeks.
Yes, that's actually how I was able to start meditating a couple of
Mm.
years. And I'm talking very light meditation, nowhere near the level that I'm at now. but that's kind of what got me to, because I would never take baths, like showers. Yes. So not to make it sound like I didn't wash myself. Showers, yeah. You can be in and out in a shower. Bath, you're just sitting there, and that drove me crazy. No, it really, until I would say the end of last year, I never, and I'm saying never, took
Mm.
baths, because I would get everything ready. I would even do candles and the bath bomb, all the things, right? And I would get in and maybe last 5 minutes, because my mind would start racing, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing sitting in here? I've got so many things to do. Like, I don't have
Yep.
time. And I get up like, oh, so I just kind of gave up on the bath relaxing thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, last year I started trying again, like just 20 minutes, you can do this. And I mean, there were times where I'm like looking at the time, like, can I get out yet? Can I get up yet? Because it's hard
Oh
to sit
yeah,
there.
it
But,
is.
but yeah, but it did help me, get in there. And I still do that today. But now I'm able to do it in different ways too, like the like deeper you're able to go. Um, it's been really cool to kind of see the different places you can go, not to sound like Dr. Seuss, but when you commit to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And it's cool because there is so many different ways we can go to the retreats like we go to. I still love walking meditations where I turn everything off and I'm just there in nature. And then now we have the water meditations. I mean, there are just so many different ways that you could go with it, which of course I love because then it doesn't get old or stale or boring.
Yeah, no, I'm right. I'm right there with you. Anything that becomes monotonous, and there's a lot of things that we have to do
Yeah.
every day or every week or whatever. It's just a requirement, right? But I can get bored quickly. Like, I have to be challenged. I have to, like, and I think you said it so well, because you just kind of start going, oh, okay, well, this is going to happen. And then they're going to say this. And then you like play the whole thing through your head, and you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm bored. I already went through it. Next.
Yep.
And you're not
Yeah.
getting after what you need to at that point. So,
Exactly. So how has it been since your realization about, the bitch it's you and communication? How's that been at work?
uh, it's been, it's been a lot better, and it hasn't even been that long. And I've actually gone to another meditation retreat since then. And so I think with just implementing everything I've learned and then just deepening that, it's really been incredible. And then I did do a team building exercise with my whole roofing company, just to kind of get everyone to bond. We're very spread out. We're in 3 states. So, not everybody always sees each other and that kind of thing, but they always, have to work together. Maybe it's digitally, but so that was really powerful. And everybody's just really, I guess, passionate and, kind of bought in and kind of realigned with the mission, because sometimes we just get in that day to day and the challenges and everything, and we can get away from, the whole point of why we're doing what we're doing, when you get pulled in all these different directions. So I was able to regroup myself and then turn around and help my team regroup as well. I mean, it didn't look exactly the same how it was done, but same point
Mm.
at the end, in a
Yeah.
way that, they could relate and understand. So yeah, and that included my leadership team. So, and it just all trickles down, right? It starts with you, and then your executive team or your leadership team,
Mhm.
and the rest of the team. So yeah, I feel like I'm in a good place, but I have lots of implementing going on right now, and lots of really deep thinking. So I'm trying to be cautious that I'm not so in my head all the time. I got to make sure I'm, present when I'm needed. But I
Yeah.
have been scheduling a little more time for myself, just so I can do that deep thinking and kind of just figuring things out as well.
Well, I
It's
think
just,
it's important, right? Because it makes you better for everybody else when you take that time to invest in yourself.
yeah. Yeah. It's the implementing part that's so key. And I know this. It's, you can learn the things. And I feel like I did have a couple of years there where I was working with different mentors and going to all these different events. And it was just information. I was just being fire hosed with information for a couple of years. And I mean, of course, that was my choice, my doing, putting myself with all these people. I love learning. But it was, I don't want to say it was a waste, but I definitely didn't get to implement everything. It was just way too much. I mean, you're never going to be able to implement especially if you're going to so many back to back. I mean, at one point 2 years ago, I had 5 different coaches slash mentors at once.
Wow.
And that's just overkill, you know, but I've,
I mean, it can be, unless there's one for very specific areas, like, I
yes.
guess.
And they weren't all, for the exact same thing, but still it was very much overload for me.
Yeah.
I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself. I hold myself to a very high standard. I am still learning to just accept that I am not, a superpower per se. I am a powerful person, but, I do have limitations. I do have so much that I can physically do. So yeah, I kind of drug myself through the mud a little bit there. And then, but it all happened for a reason, as everything does. And I just had to say, whoa, okay, I'm done here. This is almost confusing. It's so much information and I can only do so much at one time. So then I got back down to one where I could really take the time. So I would say the last year, I have truly focused on just doing the work and just implementing and learning a little bit here and there,
Mm.
and then giving myself the time to truly, truly implement it and understand it. I mean, you're being given information, you think you kind of understand it, but some things are so deep and so complex that I need to be able to research a little bit or just sit with myself and go, okay, well, what is the real meaning of this, or what, and I'm giving myself that time right now. And I'm finding that is the best way for me, versus trying to do all the things a million miles an hour all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we very similar. We similar paths with all that, with all the groups that I was in the last few years, and I've been so slowly sort of reducing it back for various reasons. But yeah, like you said, just applying, and a lot of it I found is kind of, a lot of people are saying a lot of the same things, but in different ways. So, how does it resonate with you? How can you apply that? Does that even apply to your life, or is it just good information that might be okay for others, but maybe not for us or our business or our industry or our lives? So it is a lot of deciphering, I think, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So I, for the first time, actually slowed down.
Mm.
And that's something I've never been able to do. So I've slowed down and I've been scheduling a lot of time for myself. And it's not that I felt guilty, even though sometimes I did. It just truly, I think I was just so used to going fast all the time that if I didn't, I maybe was scared that all the things wouldn't get done and something somewhere is going to, collapse, or I don't know. So that's probably the biggest thing that I have learned, just so that I'm able to learn and implement.
Yeah, for sure. I have lived in that similar fear my entire life, that if I slow down, I don't know if I think I'm going to die, or like you said, things won't get done, or I'm just going to turn into 500 pounds on my couch and never do anything again. But there's this like weird fear that has driven me so hard in action that it's really hard to not be in action and just kind of let some things be with trust that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that right there shows how much we've grown, that we're to actually do that now. And we're not
Yeah.
panicking. We know that's the best thing for us.
Yeah.
Um, Mel said like the best thing, even though I've heard this, but just in different ways, right? But it just doesn't click until it clicks.
Yep.
That, we cannot be there for others or even show up the way we need to in our companies, for our family, etc., if we are not whole. And we do. I mean, heck, I've done so many things being half there and half, but it was a life of tons of stress, chaos, I like to call it organized chaos, but it's still chaos. And that was just comfortable. That's all I knew. So I didn't even realize, you don't have to be on the verge of a stroke all the time, like there's a way to do things that actually feel good, and you don't have to, I mean, it was 3 years ago, I had a panic attack, and I did not recognize it as a panic attack because I had never had a panic attack. And this is how much of denial I was, because I was just hustle, grind, do whatever it takes. You can rest when you're dead kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And I was just in that mindset of, work hard, grind, almost like trying to force things and push things. And, and it was just, when I think back to that time, it makes my heart hurt. And I was stressed. My vibration was so like, I mean, any little thing that went wrong, I was like ready to just, I don't know, throw something across the room and break shit. Because I just couldn't handle anymore. But of course I wasn't telling myself that I couldn't handle anymore. I'm like, do more, do more, do more.
Right. This is what our life is like. We're handling so much. This is the reaction you're going to get.
Yeah. And I'm like, you're built for this. Not everybody can do this. Mind you, I'm about to have a heart attack. And I was in one of my offices, and I walked in, I think I had just had a call or something. And I walked in, and I kind of was like holding my chest, like my heart. I was so stressed. My chest was so tight. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And, I was the queen of suppress everything, push it down. You don't have time to deal with any of that crap. And I was in complete denial that I was even stressed. And I walk into my accounts receivables office, and I'm holding my heart, like my chest. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just can't breathe. Like my chest is super tight." I'm like, "I'm fine. I don't know why I feel like this." And I'm like, "I just need to sit down for a second." So I sit down, and I'm like rubbing my heart and my chest, and I'm like trying to breathe. And I'm like, "God, I just cannot shake this feeling." I'm like, "Oh my God, my chest is so tight." And my project manager also happened to be in that office, and they both looked at each other and then looked at me, and they're like, "I think you're having an anxiety attack."
Okay.
I flat out looked at them, and I laugh now, but I was dead ass serious when I said this. I stopped, looked at them, and go, "Yeah, I don't do that." And I meant that with
we don't have anxiety. Sorry.
I don't have anxiety attacks. That's for weak people. Okay. I'm just maybe a little stressed or something. And
my heart hurts a little, and I'm struggling breathing, but
not having an anxiety attack.
that happened.
Really said, I don't do that. And I meant that at the time when I said it, 100%. And they just kind of looked at each other and looked at me again and go, "Okay. Are you sure you're okay?" And I'm like, "Yes, let's just get on with the day. I'm going to be fine." But no, I was not fine. I was not fine. I was not acknowledging how I felt, emotionally, physically, any of that. And that's how I was living. That was, I mean, talk about denial. And I laugh at myself now, like, holy crap, Nicole, like your head was so far up your own ass. BS.
Yeah, but sometimes it takes those very extreme things for us to realize, oh shit, like the body has to tell us there's something wrong here in order for us to go, oh shit, maybe I need to change something. Especially if we have the sheer will to make stuff happen over and over again. You're not experiencing the normal losses that other people go through because your will is so strong. The body finally says, guess what? We're not that strong.
Yeah. I've taken enough, and you need a break. You need to chill out. And so very, very slowly, very slow. I just didn't get it. I was in so much denial, and I worked with several different people, and I just truly did not get it because I would not allow myself to feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was an uphill battle to even, even get to the point to realize and acknowledge that I wasn't feeling that in itself. I mean, and then once you break that open, okay, now you can start working on it because you realize, oh, I'm not feeling, because I thought I was,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, and it's tricky because, obviously, like with our generation, men were trained to not have feelings. And I think even us women, as, entrepreneur CEOs, like, tough girls, we are also conditioned to not have feelings, because if you're a woman and you have feelings, then you're just being emotional, and it must be her time of the month. And she's, being a girl, or, a bitch, or whatever it is. Like, so
Yeah.
as hard as it is for men, it can be equally hard for us and our conditioning to allow ourselves to have those feelings. And I know for myself, in the rare moments where I showed vulnerability, it was almost devastating, because people weren't accustomed to seeing that side of me, and it really fucked them up, like it really freaked them out. And so, like, even more so, like, I can't have that. I'm not allowed to have those types of feelings and feel that sort of way.
Yeah. No, 100%. Because when it's been seen for a long time, it's a man's world,
Yes.
even though thank God we're getting so far away from that. But you're 100% right. Like we're playing in that world, and very much so we need to show up the same way if we want to be taken seriously. I mean, you can't go into a board meeting and freaking cry. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Um, it's just, yeah.
Or you
You need
can, but you're not going to be, nobody's going to take whatever comes out of your mouth with any truth. Like, they're going to be like, okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's been, but yeah, I just had like this long journey of just getting to that, and little by little just allowing myself to really feel things. And again, that's come to me getting still and just really acknowledging. And so not just always like, oh, okay, I'm going to meditate and now I'm going to have feelings. I mean, just throughout the day, a big I guess show of progress for me is that as I feel things throughout the day, as things happen, just actually stop, for pausing for a few seconds and just identifying, ooh, that I didn't really like that conversation, how that went. And
Mm,
I feel disrespected, or I feel sad, or, whatever the heck it is. And just actually identifying that I'm having a feeling instead of just automatically suppressing and pushing it down and
yeah.
not dealing with it, and then throwing up all over some undeserving person down the road. Right.
It's so hard for me. Like, I've been trying the same, it's that whole somatic experience where you're supposed to identify the feeling in your body. And I'm like, I don't have a feeling in my body. I think, like, my feeling is thinking. And it's like, no, that's not a feeling. What is the feeling? And it's like, I realize I cannot identify feelings. Like, I don't even know what that is. It's like all new for me to try to identify a feeling associated with something happening in my body, associated with something in my brain. Like, it's not easy. I mean, what you're saying sounds easy, but it's not easy, especially if you've never been that person.
Oh no. I mean, people started telling me this a couple of years ago, and I was looking at them like they were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, what? Just stop and let yourself feel it. And I'm like, I do not have time to sit there and be like, I don't like that conversation that I just had. Like, grow up, put your big girl panties on, and get to, I was just very harsh to myself, like, go,
Yeah.
go, go. I never feel, and never, but that I thought that that was strength. I really did for a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't have feelings and I didn't let things bother me. But the truth is, now that I've kind of gotten away from that and allow myself to feel and identify feelings, and I definitely don't want to make it sound like I've mastered it, because I have not. I still catch myself after a few days, especially this past week. Holy crap, I had a really intense week of going through old stuff. And I noticed working through that I still tell myself, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. But I'm not fine, because it keeps
Mm.
coming up. my heart hurts and I need to work through that. I need to think, why does this hurt? Why does this keep coming up? Why am I feeling pain from this? Why am I sad? And walk through it so I can let it go. Because if I just continue to keep burying it, it's not going anywhere. I can fool myself and tell myself that it's not going anywhere. And if I don't work through it, then it's just going to keep coming up. And that's definitely not where I'm personally trying to go, where I'm carrying all this, baggage with me. And I still catch myself things happening during the day. And I've got a lot scheduled that I'm like, nope, I don't have time to deal with that. I'm just going to shove it down. So I'm trying to get away from that. But like you said, even with like meditation and all that stuff, it's literally a daily practice. And I'm not successful every single day at doing it. But it's, I'm just proud of myself for getting to the point that I'm able to identify my feelings at all. And when I do that I allow myself the time to maybe walk through it. And it doesn't happen all the time, but I'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you won't. I mean, that's the thing that I've been realizing is it's just layers of an onion, like stuff will come up and I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to feel that again or go through it. I've already handled that. I've already dealt with that. We've already gone through that. Like I'm over that. And it's like, well, guess what? There's still something there. You're not fully over it, or you're not 100% healed from that. It's showing its face again. So it's like, again, you can do the work, but you got to kind of keep doing the work because it resurfaces in different ways and different situations until, I don't know, I like to say till we finally fully healed or learn the lesson, but I don't even know, I don't even know if that destination occurs or if it's a constant journey.
Yeah. I think for some things it's probably a constant journey, or that it maybe takes our whole lifetime to get through something, because forgiveness and letting things go, and every time it comes up in your mind, you have to walk through that forgiveness again. And if you've ever forgiven someone and you think about your process on forgiving someone, very rarely do you forgive right away. If it's something that was really hurtful, it's kind of like you have to work through that forgiveness every time you think about it, or it pops into your mind, or, something triggers that feeling. You have to re-forgive them. But for me, it happens like faster and faster, because I feel like you kind of let more and more of it go each time so there's things that I'm still very much like I haven't forgiven people for, that I'm working through, but I've noticed it's become easier and easier. And I would say there are things that I know I have truly forgiven them for, but you don't stop thinking about it once you have truly forgiven and healed from it, because things, you still see things out in the world that remind you of that person or whatever. So they're going to pop up in your mind again. But when there's no, I don't want to say no feeling, but there's no sad feeling or bad feeling or anger, or, any kind of negative feeling that immediately comes up at the same time. And you let it go so quickly, like almost as quickly as it comes into your mind, it quickly goes right back out, because you have like truly just released that. But you never stop thinking about it though. And that part was really crazy for me to go, oh, okay. Cause I don't know why. I guess in the back of my mind, I did think like when you truly forgive someone, you're just never going to think about that again, ever.
God, it sounds great in theory and it does work for a while, but life happens and it comes back around and you're like, damn, there it is again. Okay. Let's do it again.
No. And you know what? I've had two major things come up. One was at the retreat that we were at, and I don't know if you remember, but I like started tearing up and I stopped myself and I go, why the hell am I even talking about this? I already healed from this. Like, why am I talking about this? And it's like, well, obviously you haven't, because here it is.
Here it is.
I've had that situation and another one this past week, where the actual event itself I had, but the people that were involved. So like the main person, yes, forgiven, truly, it comes up. It's just, I have acceptance, I have love, it just goes. But the other people involved, I had not. And so there were situations based on that main event with that main person that happened either simultaneously or after, based on that event, that I needed to heal from. And that is what came up for me. And I realized like, oh my God, this is like so multi-layered, it's not just this one person, this one thing. There's other situations, other people involved as maybe a fallout from that or whatever. And I'm like, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then there's the third thing, which is forgiveness of yourself,
Ooh,
which I think is almost the hardest one for all of us. At least I know, probably for you and I, well, probably a lot of people, much easier to forgive others for the things they do than forgive ourselves for whatever we did, either in reaction or our situations. And that's been a really big one for me too, is learning that grace with myself.
huge, huge. I had to work with an NLP therapist maybe a year or so ago for something that happened like 12 years ago. And I forgave that person for what they did to me, but I held on to the anger and everything towards myself for like a decade. And I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, I let that motherfucker off the hook immediately. And here I am punishing myself still
Yeah.
because I allowed that to happen. I'm like, what?
And it's crazy because, again, if you don't start doing the work, you don't even know it's in there. You don't even know that it's like kind of ruling your world from the underneath. Like you just don't even know. But then when
Yeah.
you start cracking open that can of worms, oh boy. I mean, I don't know. I think some people can like go back, but I think for me, for you, for a lot of us, once we start getting in there, it's like, oh shoot, what else do I got to deal with? Or what else is under there? What else can we contend with here?
Yeah. It is truly like the Mary Poppins bag, just like endless. She's
Yeah.
pulling all this stuff out that doesn't even fit in that bag. That is totally what self-improvement looks like, and learning to love yourself. You're like, oh, there's more shit in here. Holy crap.
Dude, I love that visual. First of all, it was one of my favorite movies because of the magic aspect, but what a great visual that is. It's always a mystery too. It's like, oh man, that's so cool. That was there. Okay, let's do it.
I pull it up. Like, what?
Oh, what's that elephant doing in there? Holy shit. I didn't even know how he got in there. Like, how'd that happen?
Yes. And then you have to figure out, okay, so now you're like, I didn't even know that was possible. But then you have to figure out what the elephant means.
Yeah.
What does that mean in your life? And what do you need to do next with that information? It's so
Ah,
difficult, right? Well,
it is.
I shouldn't say difficult, but it is very challenging. And I said this probably like a year ago. I'm like, I have always been so strong my whole life because I had to be, or at least, that was the story I told myself.
Yeah.
And I really prided myself on how strong I was and how much I could take, compared to the people around me. I was just like this no limit soldier just on life. Like, if
Yeah.
you want me down, you better kill me because I just literally don't stop.
Yeah.
And I just never in a million years thought my biggest challenge that would bring me to my knees would be myself,
Mm. But
ever.
at the same time, wouldn't it have to be?
Yeah, I mean, duh.
I know.
When you're being a no limit soldier, you're looking for the external. Who is going to come against me? Who do I need to fight? Who do I need to, hold my ground?
Yeah.
There, no, bitch, it's you.
The ultimate opponent. It's like the only one that can actually stand up to you. It's you.
You're like, fuck, I didn't anticipate that one.
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's funny, but it's also so beautiful, but it's so awesome to be on this path and have that opportunity to sort of, battle ourselves in the best possible way.
Yeah. Battle yourself with love. It's
Yeah.
not the way that you think
Uh,
that you battle yourself. Cause like, if I know you and I have a lot of similarities, so, we're very tough and,
Yeah.
we'll go head to head with the biggest, the baddest, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we just go, oh yeah, it's you. And then you're like, oh crap, how do I go against myself? And then it's like, here's your weapon. It's your heart. It's love. It's acceptance. And you're like, I don't know how to do any of those things.
Oh yeah.
Any
Oh
of these
yeah.
things.
It's the worst. Well, that was like at our retreat, like my big realization is like, how do I open my heart for healing, but still leave up those walls because I need to be tough? It's like, how do I do both? How do I be soft and hard? How do I be open, but still hold my ground? Because I mean, we still business owners, we still have employees, we still got to protect our people and our families and our businesses and everything we're doing. So it's a tricky dichotomy to be open, but yet guarded.
Mhm. Yeah, the balance. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, being in that place of love and light, and then
And
being able,
receiving.
yeah, and receiving. Oh my
Oh.
gosh, receiving. I'm not going to say the P word, but um, being able to say, like, motherfucker, no, we're not doing that. Here's the boundaries. And, I, even before all of this self-improvement, I was a pretty compassionate person, but definitely held my ground, definitely was not one to necessarily be crossed. Doesn't mean people didn't stab me in my back and all that jazz, of course. But um, yeah, I would say I'm definitely softened a lot now, but
Mm,
not in a way of like, oh, you're weak now, or oh, no, it's just I don't necessarily come at people as aggressively as maybe I would used to. And
mm.
I found that level of aggression isn't necessarily needed. You can point across without foaming at the mouth. It's okay.
Yeah, good communication goes a long way.
Don't get
Uh,
the foaming at the mouth. But it's there's multiple ways to do things. And again, when you're in that grind and you got to be strong and you got to be this way, it's a lot of pushing, a lot of forcing. I was in that mindset. Like,
yeah,
I never just thought, oh, things can just flow.
yeah. How do you find, so again, another thing you and I have in common is predominantly male employees, which you and I talked, neither one of us have necessarily had an issue with that. I know for other women, there can be a struggle, but for us, it kind of comes very naturally, almost easily. Has that changed at all for you with your growth or just gotten better?
I would say it has gotten better, actually. Um, and if I can say something, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, just because as we get to know each other more and more, I find we do have a lot of similarities. And my connection to the male species, I would say I had more of a connection with them at a younger age. And maybe it's because at the time I had more male like cousins, and I think I was just more around men than I was women.
Hmm.
The women in my life were also, a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's a story for another day. So I just really, I think, identified more with hanging out with the boys. It was just different. But I was
Easy.
still very in my feminine, super girly. Because that's just who I am naturally, even though my mom desperately wanted me to be a tomboy, but I just wasn't.
Is that where the prissy Nikki comes from? Like, let's go as feminine as we could go.
I've always been like, always, always. And my mom's very much a tomboy, played basketball in high school and, sporty. And here I am. I want to wear dresses every day and I want my hair like rainbow bright. And there was nobody in my life that was teaching me that or any, because my mom definitely was the opposite. I just love dress. I just always was just drawn to really frilly, but yeah. So a good balance though of tough and, I like I said, I spoke on stage, like, I think it was like last year, and it was to a group of women. And, I'm like, there was this sorry, I'm getting off on tangents here, but there was a phase, and I can't remember when it actually started, just in the collective of society, where if you're going to be in these male dominated areas, then, you need to wear your Hillary Clinton pantsuits, and you've got to present yourself a certain way. You can't wear dresses and heels and be dainty and whatever, because you won't be taken seriously. And I'm sure that was the case. There was a time for that. I'm very lucky and grateful for the women that, led the way in changing things to how they are now. We definitely still have work to do, but even owning a roofing company, and even before that, being in construction and marketing, and just a lot of areas that are pretty male dominated, I just never took on that mindset. I never felt less than. I think some women do. I told myself that about myself in other areas, but when it came to work, I was very confident and I believed in myself very much. And that allowed me to be comfortable with who I was in front of them as well. My lack of feeling and things like that, I developed as a child through trauma that I went through. So it wasn't necessarily later on in my adulthood where I go, oh, I'm working in this male dominated industry, so I better not have feelings now. Yeah. I did that as a kid. Yeah. And I just lived my whole life that way. So maybe I was just better suited for the male dominated industries, because I too, am into
yay trauma.
Yeah, so fit right in, and one, you don't even know you have trauma, and you definitely don't talk about it. So good with me. Let's go.
Yeah.
So I just never, and I would wear my dresses and my heels, and but I kicked a lot of ass in my heels. My confidence, how I show up, all of that, kept me from being perceived as, okay, she doesn't know what she's doing or whatever. And maybe people did assume those things of me just meeting me for the first time, but I think they would learn pretty quickly, I don't fuck around. I came here to do business and I can do it in my heels. But I would say now I still feel like I fit right in. If anything, I think it's better because men and women actually can work really great together. Yeah. When we each step into our power. And women, we truly do have this nurturing side to us that a man that's not, I guess, I don't want to say not traumatized, but isn't in denial of feelings, etc. Because trust me, I know the good old boys and how that all works too. But men and women, when they have stepped in their power and play off each other's strengths and weaknesses. So I'll take my fiance, for example. I don't try to be a man. I don't try to, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way at all. I don't feel like I need to do what men do to be taken seriously. I do what I do very well in a feminine way. And I run shit like there's no tomorrow. Yeah. I don't have to be a man or do what men do, so I'm not going to go out there and put a roof on because I feel like I need to prove myself to any male in that industry, because I'm running a multi-million-dollar business that's doing very, very well without ever doing that, if that makes sense. Like, for sure. So I didn't do that to myself where I'm like, oh, I better put on my boots and get up on the roof and nail shingles, or otherwise, I'm not going to be able to get anybody to take me seriously, because that's not my strength. That's not what I bring to the table for this company. There are people that is their gift. Like, they're just truly great and they have a lot of pride in their work. I'm going to let them shine bright in that area.
And empower them to do so. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. I was at Women in Business with Emily Frisella, and it was all women, obviously. And a lot of women were in male-dominated industries like us. And one of them asked about, she was stepping into it and it's going to be difficult for me as a woman. And Andy Frisella was there as a speaker. And he said, actually, I don't think so. I feel like men actually respond better to women because, against another man, they kind of like alpha each other. But when there's a woman there, they're kind of like, oh, if she's someone that they respect and understands and they know what they're doing, there's almost like a give and respect, like you said, let them be in their strength and then the guy could go do his thing. And it's almost a better relationship than the other way around.
Yeah, no, 100%. I would say the women that and of course, there's always exceptions to the rule. So I don't say, nothing's black and white, right?
Yeah.
But the women that I have seen that have said, hey, I really struggle. I'm not respected in, this area, or when I show up to this event or whatever, I'm not being respected as a woman. It truly comes down to, they don't respect themselves and how insecure they're feeling is showing. And so it doesn't even matter if it's a male or a woman, both can see that. And so you're going to automatically have less respect or trust in you because it's showing you don't trust yourself. So that's like first and foremost. But I've also seen women have a little bit of a struggle when they come in with the mentality already, I'm going to get a lot of pushback from the men, and they just kind of come out the gate swinging at them, so of course that would put anyone on the defensive, like, whoa, calm down. You're kind of creating that challenge for yourself because you're like, it's going to be hard for me and everybody's going to give me pushback and this and that. And what do you get? You get exactly that. You're showing up that way. You're communicating that way. So you're going to have a problem. So I think the reason why you and I really haven't, I've had men be disrespectful towards me. Of course, I come across that from time to time. I just did a couple of weeks ago. I had to go to a city council meeting in the smallest town in Bloomingdale, and this city council member just really thought he was something incredible and that women shouldn't, speak unless they're spoken to. And even then he's going to talk over you. And yeah, he didn't like me very much by the end of that, because I'm not going to allow myself to be disrespected. But yes, did I have some opposition there because he's in this old mentality and way of thinking and I was not bowing down? Yeah, but that's not my normal.
Yeah, that's the exception. It's definitely not the rule.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you think that plays for, so we talked a lot about, men, how does that play for women, like women that work for you? Similar experience, like, or do you get pushback because they're a woman thinking whatever a woman pushing against a woman would feel like?
I have a lot of women that work for me too now. That it's definitely grown over the years. And I get along, I would say, even better now as well as I've worked on myself. I always had good relationship with men, but women is actually where I struggled, if anything.
Yep.
And I think it's because I was so anti-feeling and I didn't like women that were in touch with their feelings or whatever. It made me uncomfortable. And I didn't see it that way at the time. I was just like, I can't do these Oprah moments and the drama and I don't have time for that. I'm not going to sit around and cry with you and do all these things, And
toughen up, girl. Like, yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ, quit crying. I mean, you just watched a freaking commercial. What's wrong with you? That's the person that now can cry when they see a commercial. So I just was in super denial of my, and we see it as a weakness or whatever, but how truly nurturing we are and the love that we give the world is actually strength. It holds the world together. Like, I think women are the most badass creatures on earth because we are strong. We can create. I said in a post a few weeks ago, it's like, any man that ever thinks that they can come to me and be disrespectful should think again, because I can make I can make humans and money. So you better lower your fucking tone when you talk to me. That was ego. I'm not proud of it. There was some ego in that,
but
I
also a little truth, you know, or a lot.
I really grown to love women where I used to just,
Yeah.
just kind of not hate them, but not want to hang out with them either,
Yep.
because I was so out of touch with myself and who I really am and my awesome powers. Like I am the nucleus of my family. I am the nucleus of my company. And it's truly because I do lead and I am smart and I am strong, but I'm also super nurturing and compassionate. And that holds the world together. I mean, we are powerful, awesome people. And we do all of this while we feel and we channel those energies. I mean, come on. Like I had it wrong. I had it all wrong. I truly did.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it too just comes from being in a group where it's okay to be you as well, you know, to be around like-minded individuals that aren't going to judge or hold that against you or use it against you. Like there's a lot of trust that has to come with being able to express those kinds of feelings. And I know for myself, and maybe you too, where you've gotten betrayed or burned by women or these sorts of things. So you kind of put up your walls and you won't allow yourself to have that sort of connection because you're just waiting for it to turn on you. And so, but when you're around the right kind of women that are aligned with you in similar mentality and modalities, like it makes all the difference.
It does. And I didn't even realize how badly I really actually needed that in my life. Having, you and the circle that we have has been huge. I texted in our group, what was it, last week? That's not anything I would have ever done. Just saying, hey, here's what I'm going through. I'm struggling, working through this. And not that I needed it to be fixed or solved, but, really just help knowing that I had that support group.
Yeah.
And even as I'm saying it now, I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth, but it was beautiful. And, everybody was there for me and was, willing to help and hop on the phone if I needed it. And that just really gave me the strength to keep going because I really felt defeated in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is beautiful. But right, it has to be the right group of people with that same mindset because unfortunately, and this was me, my younger self too. It's like women compete with each other and therefore we're pretty savage about it too, or we can be, and not supportive at all of each other.
Yeah.
And it's awful and it's sad because we are such powerful beings. And then when we unite with each other, holy crap. I mean, that is just crazy power that we're talking about there and support and love. We need more and more of that in the world, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree. And I keep saying like-minded, but I think we're also just at different phases in our life. I know for myself, at the moment, previous times when I would try to hang out with other women, they were either a lot younger than me, they like worked for me and they just weren't at the same place in life with business, with kids, with where I was. And so I'm trying to be in connection with them, but I wasn't in that same, we just didn't have the same mentality, just where we were at in life. And that's why I just appreciate our group so much because we're all in the similar situations, business wise, kids wise, where we can understand and relate and be there for each other and not have to compete with each other, not even care about competing. It's not even a thing. Like we're all doing our own things. We're all fine doing our own things. We don't need that aspect in order to bond us.
Yes. Yeah, it really is awesome. So I have to say, find your tribe because it's just beautiful. It's such an enhancement to your life. I'm like, man, I wish I would have had this earlier on, but I wasn't ready for it, right? It happened when I was supposed to.
Exactly. And at least we finally got it now. So here we are.
And I'm really grateful. I am. I'm really grateful for you. And I was so just looking forward to speaking with you, whatever it was we were going to talk about. I was just
Awesome. Well, it's been an awesome conversation. I love it. So tell us what you're doing now. Where can people find you? So are you speaking more? Are you doing more on stage speaking this year?
I have
Oh,
a couple of events coming up. I have an event this weekend, the Boss Babe event in Tampa, Florida.
cool.
And then in July, I'm speaking at the Alpha Dog Empowerment. And that
Was
is,
that?
yeah, with Zach, which is there's gonna be some really incredible people there. I'm super excited and very honored that I was asked. I don't even know what I'm gonna speak about at that event yet, but I'm not panicked because I know it's gonna come to me and it's gonna be awesome.
Oh, you're going to be fine. You're going to be great.
Not forcing it. I know it's going to come to me. So yeah, I have those lined up most recently. I'm adding some products to the Prissy Nikki line, and in the addition of Bitch It's You movement under the Prissy Nikki brand. I have submitted everything to trademark that. Nice little,
Oh, good girl.
I really love it. It resonates so much, and I think it will with a lot of people. So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to growing that movement, just bringing awareness to women. You know, that all the things that we think externally are against us, we really just need to start with ourselves, because most of what we're is being, or let me back up. Woo-hoo. Most of what we are being faced with or challenged with is truly our own creation, or we're contributing in some way, or we're just making it way more difficult than it has to be, and we don't realize it.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to be doing a lot of things around that. And I'll be speaking about it a lot more. So I'm really excited now that I've got the wheels turning. I was quiet until we got the trademark.
Can
Registered.
we say who was it that told you to get that shit trademarked?
You.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you better trademark that like right away.
Yeah, I did too. I did,
I'm so happy. Yeah. And it's just going to resonate for all women. Like, and it just makes you laugh. And, but yeah, it's empowering. And I love it because it's both sides of things. It's like, bitch, it's you in a good way and a bad way. Like it's you
yes.
or
I mean,
anyway.
I was talking to my team this morning, at Prissy Nikki, and just letting them know that, the trademark um, had been submitted, and we're hopefully going to announce it at this event this weekend. And I go, it's just so great because, you're wearing a shirt, bitch, it's you. And just really, no matter how it's perceived, it's going to be correct.
Yep.
Like if someone's like, it's me, it's like, well, yeah, it's you. Or no, it's like, bitch, it's you. However that resonates, it's correct.
Yeah. But someone will find a way to be offended by it, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And if
then
they are, it's like, well, that's how you're interpreting it. I meant like it in a different way.
well, I will then know, bitch, it's you. If they are. I'm starting with you, honey. I'm sorry.
Exactly. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I can't wait for us to do our next women's retreat together. And hopefully we do an event together as well. I could definitely see that in our futures.
Yes, that would be amazing. I'm down for it. I'm doing all of the work and just letting everything flow. And amazing people like you are coming into my life as I've done that. So I'm
Same.
very much looking forward to the rest of this year for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, same. All right, cool. Any final parting words for our listeners or anybody else?
I will say, I don't know if you'll have this in the show notes, but if anyone wants to connect or look
Yes.
at the Prissy Nikki brand, it's prissynikki.com.
But
And
spell Nikki because it's Nikki, right?
yes, nikki.com.
Yeah. What is in your brand? What are you selling? What do you got?
So we have right now 10 styles of do-it-yourself strip lashes and glue. I have vegan lashes that are plant-based, and I have 3D foam ink lashes. So 5 and 5 for a total of 10 different styles, all the way from, your simple everyday lash to on stage Broadway super full lashes that look amazing on stage and camera. We are adding some merchandise, so cups, and actually blinged out flip-flops, because Prissy Nikki always has her bling cup, her blinged out high heel wedge flip-flops, not just regular flip-flops, because I'm only 5 foot tall. I need a little help.
Same.
And t-shirt. So it's going to be truly just my everyday stuff that I love and wear, that's simple yet makes it look like you really tried, but it's all like simple stuff to wear. And so my favorite color is bling. So
It's what?
is bling.
I love that. Mine is like iridescent. I'm like, is that really a color? Yeah, it's
Yes,
multi. It's many. It's like rainbow bright.
it is a color. It's perfect.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
so we're
that.
adding that by the end of this month. All of the merch will be online. So
Awesome.
the
Well, and
last
you're in Florida, so the flip-flops are easy year round. So that's nice.
yes, yes. But they're fun, even for the people that get 2 months of summer.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get myself a pair of those.
I love them.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I've got going on. And then, of course, the roofing company and doing investments. But, the roofing company is actually my biggest company, but I talk the least about it because, I mean, let's be real, roofing's boring. We don't want to talk about shingles, but beauty brand is way more fun. And bitch, it's you. That's way more fun.
Yeah. Well, and let's be honest, shingles these days has a very bad connotation. People are associating it with other things. So we don't want to talk about shingles ever.
We're getting to that age. Oh my God.
Right.
Talking about it.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. Let's not even put that out there.
God.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Let's talk soon.
Yes, definitely. I appreciate you.
Yeah, same.